When I was little, all I ever wanted was to be a mom. Now that I am a mom, I often wish I would have taken more time when I was younger to understand what it actually meant to be a mom. I have complained to my own mom how ill-prepared I feel for the many different mothering situations I find myself in that I have no idea how to handle. And she reminds me that I have exactly what I've asked for. And I reply that, in all fairness, I had no idea what I was asking for. I thought motherhood was going to be snuggles and giggles, perfectly dressed and groomed children that listened to everything I said the first time, crafts that went exactly as planned and left no messes or resulted in any kind of disaster, bedtime stories where my children actually laid down next to me for the entire story, or a little one sitting perfectly still as we read Bible stories together, and gourmet meals that I had lovingly prepared, enjoyed sitting around a perfectly set dinner table with everyone laughing and sharing about their day. And so much more. Now, some of motherhood does look like these things, or at least partly does. And I truly do love being a mom. But there are so many aspects of motherhood I had absolutely no idea about. There's this emotional load you carry for each of your children. I had no idea how emotionally invested I would be in each of my kids. I had no idea the mental load required of you all day long. The amount of decisions that you have to make that impacts not just me, but my children and their future. But no pressure, right? There's a physical demand to motherhood. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent chasing toddlers, squealing in delight as they run down a street, sidewalk, through a park or field, or even just across a parking lot as you leave a store. There is a spiritual load of motherhood. I am positive there is a constant prayer going on in the back of every mother's mind for each of their children. Sometimes I'm praying for their safety from me, and it sounds like, Lord, please let us both survive this day. You wear so many different hats as a mom. We're PTA members, chauffeurs, dance, soccer, football moms, a chef and nutritionist, event planners, nurses and doctors, maids, housekeepers, teachers and tutors, Lego engineers, fashion designers and stylists. But probably my most favorite role of motherhood is a master of debate. All of you moms and toddlers and teenagers know exactly what I'm talking about. I never realized I was going to have to work so hard to convince a 2-year-old the importance of brushing their teeth, of going to bed and taking naps, of wearing weather-appropriate clothing, or buckling their seatbelt in the car, and on, or the amount of self-restraint that would have to be exercised in order to teach my teenager to drive, or to convince them that planning for college or post-high school is a good idea, or that this cute boy probably isn't going to be their future husband, or that the social event of the century probably isn't happening this Friday at their best friend's cousin's house, and on and on. Motherhood requires you to be a therapist and sounding board, a comforter and confidant, problem solver extraordinaire, and empath of all empaths. In addition to this, you then magically acquire most of your child's emotions. I had absolutely no idea that my heart could feel so much pain until I saw my children struggle. Whether it was with their first encounter with a bully, their first big heartache as a toddler, or a teenager's first encounter with heartbreak, or a struggle through depression and suicidal thoughts, and so many more things. Motherhood is not just wiping runny noses or drying tears. It is not just showing up at sporting events with snacks and a cheer, but I think that's totally required. Motherhood is not just tucking away sleeping littles at night. It is not just story time or loads of laundry. It isn't the constant fingerprints on the fridge, mirror, and windows. Motherhood is giving you every hug, every dried tear, every last-minute trip to the store to get that birthday gift for the party you forgot about tomorrow. How many times have you slept in a toddler bed 2 sizes too small for you with a little one that's got a stomach bug? Or comforting your teenager as they cried themselves to sleep after their first breakup? Moms give of themselves all day, every day, in every possible way. And friends, if you are a single mom, regardless of why, there often is no break. There is no one to tag team with. There is no one to come take the night shift or the morning shift or the, if you don't come intervene right now, I'm going to lose my shit shift. As a single mom, you are 100% responsible 100% of the time. Motherhood is often said to be one of the most rewarding experiences of life, and that is absolutely true. But it is also one of the most draining and thankless experiences of life. And if you didn't already know, this motherhood cup can get pretty empty pretty fast if you aren't careful. One thing I'm absolutely adamant about is knowing how to fill your cup so that you can keep pouring into the amazing little humans that call you mom, even if they are bigger than you now. So many of us make the mistake of believing that if we pour into ourselves, we're somehow being selfish. How many of you have the belief that if you aren't giving everything of yourself for your children and family, that you are somehow not being a good mom? How many times have you stayed up until the wee hours in the morning to help finish a science project? Or to plan, decorate, and make a birthday cake for one of your children? Or putting the finishing touches on a Halloween costume? How many times have you convinced yourself that something you saw on Instagram was a great idea, only to get 20 hours into it and realize you don't remember why you are doing it anymore? Moms, please just pause for a second and think about what is truly most important. My favorite analogy of motherhood and self-care came to me the first time I flew with one of my kids, and the flight attendant came over to me after the safety announcements to remind me to put my own oxygen mask on before putting one on my baby. Do you know why this is important? Because if you are unable to breathe, who is going to take care of your children? If you are not functioning, who is taking care of your kids? If you do not take time to care for yourself, you will eventually find that others are caring for you instead of you caring for them. Self-care does not have to be selfish or require a huge amount of time. Self-care can look like 10 minutes of reading your Bible and finding some comfort in the words of Christ. You can even lock yourself in your bathroom, closet, or behind any door you want. Self-care can look like writing down your thoughts at the end of the day, while a baby naps or the children are at school, while you're sitting at a practice, or even before your house wakes up. Whatever works best for you. Self-care can look like truly seeing yourself in the mirror and checking in. I like questions like this personally. How you doing today? It's been a rough day today. What's going on for you? Or, you seem to be struggling today. What's that about? It can also look like looking at yourself in the mirror and giving yourself some power statements. I got you today, or let's have fun. I have everything I need to be present for my kids today. Or, I can't wait to see how we surprise ourselves today. Self-care can also look like a silent prayer for strength, comfort, guidance, support, energy, inspiration, anything you need. It can be said in any room, in any situation, at any time of day, in the same amount of time it takes to take a couple breaths. The truth is that popular to contrary belief, it is not going to get a mani-pedi, indulging in your favorite dessert, or treating yourself to any material item. Self-care is learning who you are and then honoring that person by showing up as your authentic self. I saw a quote by Corey Muscara on Instagram that said, "Self-care is we care." If we could all learn to view self-care this way, I believe we would have fewer burnt out, overextended, and stressed out moms. Instead, we would be able to create more space for our children to share their authentic selves. We would be able to have more authentic conversations because we would have more capacity to allow our children to express themselves without becoming defensive. We would have more to give, not less. We would have better connection with our children, not less. We would be more present with our children, not more distracted. We would understand that everything our children do and say is a reflection of something they are struggling with, not a failure on our part. We could be more curious about their behavior instead of scared and judgmental of ours. We would be more open to their struggles because ours have been taken care of. Friend, please stop sacrificing yourself in the name of your children. Instead, take care of yourself for your children. You've got this. Have a great day, friends.